The Galactic Council had dismissed humanity as insignificant for 3 centuries. To the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds, humans were nothing more than a primitive species that had barely crawled beyond their own solar system. The Vorthan Empire, with its crystalline warships and energy-based weaponry, had conquered 47 star systems in the past decade alone. The Insectoid Hive Collective controlled resource-rich sectors spanning 3 spiral arms. Even the nomadic Drift clans commanded respect with their mastery of quantum manipulation. But humanity? They were the newcomers, the ones who still relied on kinetic weapons and chemical propulsion. The Council had granted them a single representative seat out of pity. Nothing more. Captain Miller stood on the bridge of the USS Blackstar, watching the tactical display with grim satisfaction. The ship represented everything humanity had learned in their short but brutal introduction to galactic warfare. Where other species had spent millennia perfecting energy shields and plasma cannons, humans had taken a different approach entirely. "Captain, we're receiving distress signals from the Kepler station," reported Lieutenant Brooks from the communications array. "The Vorthan fleet has broken through the outer defenses. They're requesting immediate assistance." Miller nodded slowly. The Vorthan Empire had been systematically conquering human colonies for 6 months, their superior technology making short work of conventional Earth defenses. Each victory had made them bolder, more confident in their inevitable triumph over the upstart species. "Signal the fleet," Miller commanded. "All vessels, prepare for quantum jump. Target coordinates, Kepler Station." The Blackstar was unlike any vessel in the known galaxy. While alien ships prioritized speed and energy efficiency, human engineers had built something entirely different. The massive dreadnought stretched nearly 2 kilometers in length, its hull bristling with what appeared to be primitive projectile weapons. The Vorthan scouts had laughed when they first encountered human ships, dismissing their crude appearance and apparent reliance on outdated technology. They had stopped laughing 3 battles ago. The quantum jump concluded with the familiar blue-white flash, and suddenly the Blackstar materialized in the Kepler system alongside her escort fleet. Before them stretched the Vorthan Armada, sleek vessels that moved like liquid mercury, their crystalline hulls refracting starlight into deadly energy beams. "Vorthan fleet is hailing us," Brooks announced. "Admiral Vex is demanding our surrender." Miller allowed himself a cold smile, opened the channel. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the imperious face of Admiral Vex. The Vorthan commander's features were sharp and angular, with eyes that glowed with an inner light. His voice carried the arrogance of a species that had never known defeat. "Primitive humans," Vex declared, "you are outmatched and outnumbered. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift." "Admiral," Miller replied calmly, "you've made one critical error in your calculations." "And what might that be?" "You assume we fight like everyone else in this galaxy." Miller closed the channel and turned to his tactical officer. "Commander Hayes, you may fire when ready." What happened next defied every principle of galactic warfare. The Blackstar's hull split open along hidden seams, revealing row upon row of launch tubes. But instead of energy weapons or plasma torpedoes, the ship unleashed something far more terrifying. Thousands of kinetic projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. The Vorthan energy shields, designed to deflect particle beams and plasma bursts, were utterly useless against solid matter traveling at relativistic velocities. The tungsten rods punched through crystalline hulls like paper, each impact releasing the energy equivalent of a small nuclear weapon. "Second volley, full spread," Miller ordered. The human fleet opened fire in perfect coordination. Rail guns, ISS drivers, and magnetic accelerators sent streams of projectiles across the void. The Vorthan formation began to collapse as ship after ship fell victim to weapons they had never encountered. in millennia of conquest. But the Blackstar's true weapon was still to come. "Initiate Project Hammer," Miller commanded. Deep within the ship's core, a massive railgun began to charge. The weapon stretched the entire length of the vessel, its magnetic coils drawing power from 3 separate fusion reactors. The projectile was a simple rod of ultra-dense matter, but accelerated to 97% of light speed. The Vorthan flagship, a massive dreadnought that had spearheaded the conquest of dozen worlds, simply ceased to exist. The kinetic impact created a brief, artificial star that illuminated the entire system before fading to darkness. The remaining Vorthan ships fled in panic. Their carefully ordered formation dissolved into chaos. For the first time in their species history, they had encountered an enemy that fought without honor, without the accepted rules of galactic warfare. News of the battle spread throughout the galaxy within hours. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session, demanding explanations for humanity's barbaric tactics. Representatives from 100 worlds voiced their outrage at the use of kinetic weapons in space combat. Captain Miller stood before the assembled council, unmoved by their condemnation. "You invited us to join your civilization," he said quietly, "but you never asked if we wanted to fight like civilized beings." The council's response was swift and predictable. They declared humanity a threat to galactic peace and authorized a joint military response. 17 major powers pledged their fleets to the cause of eliminating the human menace. They had made their second critical error. Within a month, the combined fleet arrived at Earth's borders, expecting to find a primitive world defended by a handful of crude vessels. Instead, they found a fortress system bristling with kinetic weapons platforms, each one capable of accelerating projectiles to velocities that made their shields meaningless. The USS Blackstar led the defense, her hull scarred, but her weapons fully operational. Behind her gathered the entire human fleet, hundreds of vessels, designed for one purpose only. When the smoke cleared and the last alien ship had either fled or been destroyed, the galaxy finally understood what they had unleashed. Humanity didn't fight wars to capture territory or resources. They fought wars to end them. Completely and permanently. The Galactic Council sued for peace within a week. Nothing was left standing of the old order. In its place rose something new, something that reflected a simple human truth. Sometimes, the only way to ensure peace is to make war so terrible that no one dares to start it again. The age of human dominance had begun.